What's up, everybody? It's your boy Toxie Boyo, and I saw Supergirl about 2 days ago. I was gonna record this video that night and have this video up by Friday, the day that the movie comes out, like I usually try to do with these sorts of things. But there's been a lot going on behind the scenes that's kind of deadened my desire to make videos. But hopefully, I still get this out to you by the time opening weekend is up, and with there being a little bit of time, I can talk a little bit about spoilers, but I'm not going to give you a whole rundown of the exact plot and everything that happens in it, but I can talk a little bit more freely about certain details. So, with all that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm going to preface this by saying that while I do like Supergirl as a character, it's always just been in things. Like, I liked her as the main character of Injustice 2, even though I think that the Injustice games have some of the worst storytelling out of any DC product I've ever consumed. I do like her. I like her when she shows up on The Flash or on Arrow for the crossovers. I never really watched the Supergirl show because by that point I was already watching Legends, Flash, and Arrow. For me, I felt like I was watching too many of those shows already. I didn't have any room for Batwoman or for Supergirl or for really anything that came after. I didn't watch Gotham Knights or anything like that. I didn't even get around to watching Superman and Lois, and I'm a huge Superman fan. I liked her in like Smallville. I like her in the animated material that I've seen. I'm a fan of her as a character and as a function, but I myself have never read a single Supergirl comic, including Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow run, which this movie is, from what I can tell, loosely based on. So my judgment of this movie does not necessarily come from how closely it follows that comic. It's just, I don't know, some expectations from the Superman film rolled into what we have here. And having gotten all of that laid out, I was highly disappointed by this movie. I went in really excited, and I've been looking forward to this all year. I love all things Krypton, except for one thing. That's kryptonite, but we'll get there. I just feel like this movie doesn't do anything for me. On a surface level, I do appreciate that we're not wasting too much time like trying to tell different types of stories. Like, we have our Earthbound stuff, we have our spacefaring stuff. That's cool, I get that. For me, this doesn't really feel like much more than just a regular sci-fi film. I feel like there's a lot of movies like this that would have gone either straight to video or would have come out anywhere from like 1994 to 2010. There's a lot of sci-fi films that give me the same vibe that this one does. It doesn't really stand out in that way. Ella as a character in this movie, I think, is fine. I don't know if this is like, how it feels in the story that it's based on, but I kind of just, I get the sense that she's kind of similar to Peter Parker in Spider-Man Far From Home, and that like she's kind of a reactionary protagonist. And I get that, like the inciting incident in Crypto being shot with the poison round is fine, whatever. I even think it's interesting to put it on the timer, like, oh, in 3 days, Crypto's gonna die from this poison. I like the race against time aspect and the idea. Don't love the execution. For me, it never really felt very urgent. I think she checks the time once or twice over the course of the rest of the movie. And in this movie, we're going from planet to planet, like in completely different solar systems. That feels like it should take a few days, but I guess these ships are flying at, multiple times the speed of light. But even then, like, I don't ever feel any like kinetic nature to the pacing of the story. It feels like we're kind of just stuck in a rising action the entire time. And I don't know, it for me made it difficult to connect with the story on a deeper level. I liked Ruthie. I thought that her character arc was really good. I liked Lobo. I was actually really excited to see Lobo, but I did know that he was not part of the story before I watched it. So I was wondering if they were going to maybe find some sort of organic reason for him to be in it, and it just kind of comes down to like, oh, he's looking for the same group of people that Supergirl and Ruthie are looking for. But I don't think that Lobo's presence in the story would have changed anything if he were removed, other than the fact that like he has to bail out Kara towards the end of the movie. Because here's one thing that really frustrated me: this movie nerfs Kara over and over and over again. And I know that people were complaining about Superman 2025 because Kal-El feels too weak. He doesn't feel like Superman. He's taking too much damage. Dude, wait till you watch this one. I think she gets nerfed 4 or 5 times. Because like, yeah, it starts off, she's on a planet with a red sun, she has no powers, and then she's in space and she still has no powers. And then she gets poisoned and she's weak, and then they put her on a planet with a green sun. It's basically a kryptonite sun to kill her, and she's weak. And then she gets shot with like a kryptonite arrow and she's weak. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like that's so aggravating to me. I understand that she's really powerful, but here's the thing, dude. Kryptonians can take damage, especially when they're in space fighting against other aliens. You can just say that these aliens are really strong and they're able to hurt Kara. You don't need to have her... I don't know. For me, I know that the kryptonite sun, the green sun or whatever, I know that that's from the story. But for me, it feels like there's a key difference in the fact that, like, at least I never got the sense from the Superman film that Clark had really ventured out into deep space very often, that he had like made the presence of Kryptonians known on a wide scale. So, you know, with the context of the comics, it's more feasible that they devised this planet to be a prison for Kryptonians than in this cinematic universe where there's 2 of them. There's just 2 of them. And one of them was pretty low-key until 3 years ago. And it's only inside of those 3 years that Superman has been operational that Supergirl could have appeared and become operational. So I don't understand how there's so much intel on Kryptonians. Why would Krem have kryptonite arrows he can use? Where is he getting kryptonite? How does he know what effects kryptonite has on Kryptonians? Like, I don't... it doesn't do enough for me. It's the same as, like, in the Crisis on Earth X crossover on the Arrowverse, the Green Arrow has a kryptonite arrow. Where did he get that from? How did he get it? How does he know about kryptonite? Who told him? And on the topic of Krem, what a horrible villain. I am not interested in this guy as a villain. It's like, oh, he traffics little girls. Not necessarily little girls, but like he traffics girls and young women for the purpose of like them keeping their race going or whatever. Yeah, that's diabolical. It's, you know, it's real dastardly. But as far as villain motivation goes, he's just a pirate. I'm not interested. Like when it comes to a character like Lex Luthor, he has a large enough presence in the public eye and in the, you know, in the cultural zeitgeist that people can expect certain things out of the character, and as long as he nails those key aspects and those characteristics and he looks a certain way and acts a certain way, you can accept that as Lex Luthor. You can do the same thing with a character like the Joker, or somebody like, who's a good example in Marvel Comics, like Magneto or something like that, right? Krem, not so much. I don't know if his first appearance was in the Woman of Tomorrow comic, but that comic run ended 4 years ago. Like, a year before this cinematic universe was announced. There's just not enough time. And I've said ever since Godspeed showed up on the Flash TV show, that we should wait before we start putting certain things in movies, certain characters, certain plot points. It's better to see how things shake out. If readers or fans respond really well to a story or to a certain character, then they'll want more. And you can do more, you can add more, you can give them more characterization, you can create different angles to work with before you try to put them on the big screen, or even on the small screen. But there needs to be more time for the world at large to get familiar with a character like Krem before you even want to see them on the big screen. Because you're really only appealing to people that have read this story. And it's a very recent story, so it hasn't really become a classic yet. It's not on the same level as All-Star Superman or Spider-Man Brand New Day or Batman The Dark Knight Returns or anything like that. It hasn't had enough time for that. So people that haven't read it, like myself, this is the only version of Krem that they have. And he's so lame. He gives me nothing to work with. I feel nothing for him. He's on the same level as like the demon guy from Black Adam. Or the Daughters of Atlas, whose names I can't remember, in Shazam 2. Another thing that drove me kind of crazy in this movie is Kara keeps calling Clark Clark. And I don't blame her, because Clark introduces himself as Clark when he meets her. I think that, you know, for somebody whose character revolves around feeling lonely and feeling isolated and feeling like she doesn't belong anywhere, like she has no people, that the one person that you have that reflects even a small piece of where you come from, you should be calling him by his birth name. You know him to be Kal-El. But also, Clark, why didn't you say, you know, my name is Kal-El, people here on Earth call me Clark. You can choose whichever you want, like even if he'd given her that opportunity. But yeah, I didn't like her calling him Clark the whole time. It feels very nitpicky, but it also feels like her calling him Clark constantly goes against the story being told in this movie. Beyond that, I would have liked the movie to be a little bit longer so that we could have spent a little bit more time watching Kara on Earth, because like she's clearly there long enough to pick up English as her primary spoken language, and that's cool. My thinking is that the reason that she does these pub crawls and stuff like that, and she goes to these planets to get wasted, is to not have to deal with the pain, right? And she tells Clark that she doesn't feel like she belongs on Earth. She doesn't feel like she fits in. But I would have liked to see some of that. I would have liked to see her on Earth struggling to fit in, struggling to find a place, struggling to adjust to her powers, struggling with the concept of feeling like she's forced to be a superhero when she doesn't even know if that's what she wants to be. Anything like that before, you know. There's a lot of flashbacks in this movie. There's like 20 minutes worth of flashbacks. It would have been nice to have something like that in there. And for me, another thing that bothered me is I wanted a little bit of fallout from the previous film of, you know, of everybody finding out that Clark was sent to Earth to conquer it. I wanted to find out if that was a reflection of Krypton or if Jor-El was just crazy, or like I wanted there to be some sort of reconciliation between Kara and Kal-El about that. Like, do you know anything about that? Like, were you keeping this from me? Like, it's such a big deal. It defines his character arc in the last movie, and the only person that he could turn to find out any more information on it is Kara, and they never talk about it. And in the flashbacks, it's just like, yeah, Jor-El's crazy. That's it. That's it. Just a throwaway line about that. And it's like, that's not good enough for me, really. Like, it's just gone. But like, that was such an important thing, and I feel like it comes down to poor planning, because maybe they just didn't want to deal with the consequences of that in the Supergirl film. But then why'd you do it? And then here's another thing. They changed her origin to where she was born after Kal-El for some reason, and it's frustrating to me for a number of reasons, because it's important to Kara's character that she has memories of Krypton, not just Argo City, but Krypton, because part of her character is that she's just that tortured. She lost Krypton, she lost her family, she lost Argo, and she lost all of her people. She went through 3 great tragedies in her life before she became Supergirl. That's part of who she is. You can't take that away. You can't just start removing things, you know, like that's like if you were to say, oh yeah, Peter was actually, like, Peter Parker did get to live with his parents before Uncle Ben died, you know, for quite a while. Oh, Oh yeah, Amazing Spider-Man did that. You just can't start screwing around with the character's origins like that. Like, is it really simpler to be like, oh, yeah, she was just born way after, rather than it being like she was also sent to Earth to watch over Clark and protect him, but then her pod got knocked off course? That's literally the story, and it's been the story for decades. That's a story that I was told. It's a story that all of us were told, I believe. So what's the point of changing something like that? I don't know. There's a lot of things lore-wise that frustrated me about this movie. Like I said, I didn't feel the stakes the way that they wanted me to. I didn't feel that race against time that they were going for. Kara as a character, I found to be just fine. I quite liked Ruthie, quite liked Lobo, but again, don't really see what role he served in the film. I thought Krem as villain was terrible. And overall, the movie just doesn't really rise up to be anything more than a generic space romp. And it's, I mean, and that's fine. You know, the movie is entertaining. There's value to be found in this film, but for me, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It does not exactly have me hyped for the DCU going forward. And if anything, like something like this is what I feel like Lanterns should be, but it's not going to be that. I think they there should have been a switcheroo. Maybe Supergirl gets a show and the Green Lanterns get a movie that's a space romp like this, but whatever. And it kind of just feeds into what I've been saying for a while. Like, I don't have the slightest clue what James Gunn wants to do with the cinematic universe. And I feel like we're too early into it to have a film that's just so aggressively mid. Yeah, the same thing happened with the MCU. We went from Iron Man, which is a great film that still holds up to this day, straight into The Incredible Hulk. And that film is fine, but it is literally no better than fine. It's quite boring in a lot of places. You have to admit that. And things stayed kind of rough because Iron Man 2 came out after that, but it was still such a new concept, and that's what kept people interested. Now it's kind of tired. In the DCU, I think James is just throwing a lot of things at the wall to try to see what sticks, and I'm just concerned about it. Like, as cool as the Clayface movie looks like it's going to be, where's Batman? 3 new animated shows just got announced. One about Crypto, one about Absolute Batman, and one about the Joker. There's a Mr. Miracle animated show coming out, where we're going to find out who's playing Darkseid in the DCU. All of this material is coming out. Nothing for Wonder Woman. Nothing for a mainline Batman even. But you've got a puppet animated movie about 2 Robins. You got an animated Nightfall trilogy coming out. That's all well and good. What about Wonder Woman? What about The Flash? What about Aquaman? What about Batman in the main DCU? I don't know. I'm of the opinion that, as cool as Supergirl is, when you're starting a DC cinematic universe, your first superhero film that's about a woman should not be Supergirl. It should not be Zatanna. It should not be Hawkgirl. It should not be Black Canary. It should be Wonder Woman, and I don't even like her. I don't even like Wonder Woman. But it's asinine to me that we got to Supergirl before her. Anyway, if I were to plug this thing into the 1 to 10 meter, I'd give it about a 5, maybe 5.5. I think this movie is literally as mid as it gets. And I just was very disappointed. But Jason Momoa looked like he was having a great time, and I think he should have been playing Lobo from the beginning. Maybe he'll get like a special or a show or something like that on HBO. That would be cool. But have you seen Supergirl? What did you think of it? Have I just been whining about nothing for the last 20 minutes? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. As always, if you want more videos from me, click somewhere on the screen. I'll take you to another dimension.